All right. Well, I'd like to say welcome to everyone. My name is Glenda Burrell, and I'd like to welcome you to the Zoom room. I'm so excited that you're here and happy that you joined us this evening. For those of you who are new to Zoom, I'd like to point out the chat feature. You'll find it at the bottom of your screen on the toolbar. That is something that you can use at any point in time during this entire time we spend together this evening, okay? Now, I would like to tell you why I wanted to do this event tonight. High blood pressure is something that is wreaking havoc, I should say, wreaking havoc through our community. It's earned the name silent killer. That means hypertension if hypertension is in your health story, that damage is not too far away. And because hypertension cannot be felt immediately, a lot of times it goes unnoticed. So we need to pay attention to it before it's too late. Whether you are pre-hypertensive, hypertensive, or have a family history of high blood pressure, we just want to include some hope for you tonight. I hope that the information you hear will encourage you, and I hope you'll be able to use it to better your own history, right? Your own history, your own future as it regards to your health. Tonight we have sharing with us Dr. Candace Corson. I'm so excited to have her with us. Dr. Corson received both her undergrad and medical degrees from Yale University. She completed her residency in family medicine in 1979. Both she and her husband, George, served as non-commissioned officers in the United States Public Health Services in North Carolina. Dr. Corson went into integrative medicine after studying nutritional therapy to help her patients recover better from chronic illness. She's also the medical editor in Medicinal Plants of North America, the first edition. Dr. Corson is a national health educator as well as nutrition and health recovery. Let me say that again. Dr. Corson is a national health educator on nutrition and health recovery, as well as environmental illness. She is a presidential marketing director for Juice Plus. And I'm just so excited to have her with us. And if we were all in person, I would say give her a big old round of applause. But instead, I'll just say, just take a listen. She's got great info and she shares from the heart. You will not be disappointed. Dr. Corson?
Thank you so much, Glenda. It is always a pleasure to be with you on Zoom, and I give you a great big hug too, and just applaud everyone who takes time to get a chance to listen, especially to the speakers that follow me, because I'm excited to hear them as well, their stories of their transformation of their health. I cannot wait to hear. And I'll talk a little bit here in the beginning about some of the scientific underpinnings of why these things happen that you're going to get a chance to hear real life stories of what really has happened for people. When it comes to hypertension, really we call it high blood pressure, and it is a cardiovascular problem which is largely underpinned by inflammation. And it's really good news to know that, because inflammation is something that we can help to reduce systemically in the way that nature planned for us, which is to eat more plants. It sounds so basic, but it is huge. And if any of you have heard about people going plant-based or more plant-based or all the way plant-based, this is what they're talking about. And there are medical doctors who have had many, many years of great experience in helping people to improve their cardiovascular health dramatically, very dramatically, and it's going plant-based. What we're going to talk about tonight is just the power of adding more plants. People don't really have to be super strict or be scared of being super strict. Just adding more plants always does good. And we're talking about food plants, foundational foods. So what we know to be true is that the basic metabolism in our body and the basic immune balance, which includes the whole cascade of inflammation, the control of that, or the thermostat, if you will, is the gut, G-U-T, our gut bacteria, our intestinal bacteria. This is relatively new knowledge. A lot was known some years ago, but it's advancing rapidly now because of the ability to track the germs by their different species, by their genetic pattern. That would be the microbiome. We have the human genome, and now we have the microbiome, which is looking at who are these little good guys and the not so good guys who live in our gut. You cannot culture most of these germs. They will not grow outside of a decently healthy human digestive tract. So the only way you can find them is with relatively recent science, which is the genetic, really it's the genetic fingerprint of each different species. And we know that now we understand that 90% of the cells in our body are actually bacteria, and 10% of the cells in our body are human. It's because they're tiny, and some of our cells are larger, but they're very important, and they're constantly being degraded in today's world. The kinds of good germs are much fewer numbers, and fewer species than they should be, and that our ancestors had. And that is because of the use of antibiotics. Sometimes they're very necessary and a great blessing, but they're always a double-edged sword, because you always lose very important germs in the gut. And they're not something that can just necessarily bounce back if everything stays the same. So it's a huge loss. We also use a lot of antibiotics in our feed for factory farm, factory raised animals. And so people who eat that kind of animal produce, they're getting low-grade antibiotics all the time. And then there's a problem with one of the things that is sprayed on wheat crops here in our country and many other crops, and that's glyphosate, in the agent in Roundup, and it's listed as an antibiotic. So when people are eating that, they're literally getting antibiotic activity. So with all that and other problems, environmental problems like heavy metals, mercury, and all the others, the germs are not doing as well as they should. I want to refer people who want to learn more to a fabulous resource that we have, and that is the Healthy Living Revolution. It's a non-commercial health education, and I call it education and inspiration website, healthylivingrevolution.com. And it's actually within a larger website that we have called thefreedomrevolution.com, thefreedomrevolution.com. And if you ask the person who asked you to see this tonight, they can get you a specific link that takes you right to the healthcare videos, which I really love. And that's a free resource for everyone in the whole world who can understand English. And there are about 40 videos there that were left without any payment as a gift from different specialists in different areas of medicine. And so there are wonderful things there, and I would refer you to anything that says microbiome. So Dr. Mitra Ray has a great one, Making Peace with Your Microbiome. I have one that people ask me to do called Feeding the Good Guys. Are you feeding the good guys? And I have heard so much positive feedback that people wanting better health, and maybe they're dealing with a chronic problem in a loved one or themselves, just listening for something like that, maybe for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, the length of them. The way I look at it, people are going to have this problem to deal with the rest of their life. Why not invest a little bit of time and get some knowledge and some hope, and then you can run from there. And it's not going against healthcare advice. It's actually, I think most medical doctors are thrilled when patients learn more about the basic process whereby they can fix their foundation, help their foundation get better, change their physiology towards more normal. And the main thing that we really talk about so much is one simple change. That simple change is adding more plant foods. And we know that we can do that in a proven way, economical way, a safe and practical way by adding food that's safe and helps the body, and has been shown in now over 40 health studies, science studies at major universities, to help human physiology in all the ways that you would want at all ages, whether it's from pregnancy through old age. And so that's using the Juice Plus food concentrates. And so what I wanted to share here just briefly is that we have many different things that can trigger or start or worsen high blood pressure. I'll just list a few that are very common that maybe some people don't know. One of them is medications, other medications. And a very common one would be the NSAID class. We call it NSAID, N-S-A-I-D. It stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. And that would be your Motrin, ibuprofen, Advil, all of the drugs in that class. It's been shown years ago that people who use them on a regular basis, of course, they use it for pain, which is mostly inflammation. So there's a lot of good news coming up here in this call. But if people find the need that they need to use it on a regular basis, even as much as 1 or 2 times a month, but regularly, that has been shown to double high blood pressure, double the risk of getting high blood pressure, especially in women. I mean, that's a doubling of high blood pressure just from that very common over-the-counter medication, the Advil, ibuprofen class of medications. There are other things that are easy to fix that are deficiencies. One of them is deficiency of sunshine. And that gives us a deficiency of the hormone that our own body makes for us in our skin and translates to be active in our liver. That's vitamin D, D like David. It was misnamed. It's not a vitamin. It is a hormone that we make for ourselves at the right amount, but only with adequate sunshine. So deficiency in vitamin D actually causes inflammation and actually increases the risk of high blood pressure as well. I think it would be useful for us to think of high blood pressure in general as an inflammatory state and one that is largely reversible. So there are some mineral deficiencies too, magnesium, potassium. These are very important to take in on a regular basis in a good nutrient diet because that helps our body have the tools it wants. But the biggest is the driver, the microbiome. There are tens of thousands of good germs. And the problem is that they only eat a certain class of foods. We now know that the desirable germs are vegan. They are plant eaters. They have to eat plants, which we have to eat in order for them to be fed. And it doesn't mean everyone has to be a strict vegan, but it does mean we need a wide rainbow of plant foods to feed the good germs on a daily basis and help the good ones come back into large numbers. And they then bring down many of our metabolic problems. They bring down our inflammatory burden, and we see blood pressure improve on that basis. So we see wonderful things happen in adding plant foods, and it's not things that this is doing to the body the way drugs do things to the body, and that's sometimes very necessary as a temporizing measure. But nutrition does things for the body. So it's really something I think is exciting, that eating more plants brings better health, better longevity, less chance of dementia, less chance of high blood pressure, less chance of cancer and diabetes. And diabetes and high blood pressure are very intimately connected. Adding more plants lets the body do a lot of repair. And that is true at virtually all ages. So I will turn it over back to you, Glenda. I hope that was helpful, and I can't wait to hear everyone's stories tonight.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Corson. Every time you bring up something that I've never heard before. The last time it was type 3 diabetes. What? This time you're saying that medicines, different pharmaceuticals can contribute. Wow, I did not know that. We've heard so often that it's food, or we've heard so often that it's weight, or we've heard so often that it's lifestyle or stress. And maybe all of those things can be contributors, but I did not know the things you shared with us tonight. So thank you so much.
I am so glad, Glenda. And there's one last thing I'll say very quickly that I forgot to say, and that is, if we turn to drugs only, and there's a time and place for drugs, I honor that, I'm totally, but if we turn to drugs only for any problem, but especially for high blood pressure, we're not getting to the basic fixing of the foundation. And so
Right.
you can squash down those numbers on the, you can literally drop pressure by interfering with natural mechanisms and watch the pressure come down as far as what you measure. And there's a time and place for that, but you're not fixing the basic problem, which is inflammatory damage. So
I
that's
love
why
it.
it's so important to start with the nutrition, or if you're on meds already, just add the nutrition, then add it anytime it makes sense to you. So thank you, Glenda.
That is great. That's great advice because I believe in squashing the numbers. People believe that they're healthy, but really
Exactly.
it's counterfeit health they're experiencing. Just because the numbers look good, it doesn't mean that everything is good inside your body. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Corson. Y'all give her a
Thank
round
you,
of
Glenda.
applause. Okay, so I am going to ask Dr. Vernetta Thomas to share with us next. She has an amazing story, a story from the heart, and I can't wait for you guys to hear. Vernetta?
Oh, thanks so much, Glenda. I'm so glad to be able to be on and to get a chance to listen. Dr. Corson, wow, what I got several revelations from listening to that. So I'm excited. And thanks for having me on. My story starts many years ago. I used to weigh almost 400 pounds. So I fought obesity as a child. And early on probably the end of high school was told that I had high blood pressure and that I would need to do something about it, and was put on a medication and used that medication, even though the medication made me sick. But, and so since it didn't make me feel good, oftentimes I would go without it. And so I had lots of ups and downs, and you can imagine, as a young person. But the thing that I was told was if I would just lose weight, then my pressure would come into line. And so I believed that, and I dieted. I've done every diet you can imagine. God bless America. But the funny part is that finally, after years and years of working to get my weight under control, when I finally got to go weight, which has probably been only 5 years now, I've lost and lost and lost, and finally got to my earnest goal weight. But after about a year at my goal weight, we saw that I was still having high blood pressure issues. How could that be? I mean, you guys promised me that if I would just lose weight, everything would be fine. And so we did some more testing, and they decided that I had genetic high blood pressure. Well, darn it, I was upset. I said, no way, I'm not taking that. I have worked too hard. I do not want that to be my story. And so fast forward another year or so, and I met Juice Plus. I started using plant powders. I added those wonderful plant powders that Dr. Corson was just talking about. Eat more plants. And I'm going to say that I didn't see it happening at first. I just knew that I felt better. I knew that I slept better. I knew that wonderful things were happening. But all along, I was still using some medication that they recommended. However, I started having moments where I thought, oh my goodness, I feel a little lightheaded. And after I reported that to my doctor, he let me know, oh my goodness, your pressure is normal. What, it's below normal now. What's going on? What have you been doing? Have you been taking too much of your meds? And I said, no, I promise. I'm trying to be good. But eventually, and not long after I started the plant powders and adding more fruits, more vegetables to my life, I actually was able to get off of the medication. So Dr. Corson, you helped me understand fully, again, why that worked and what was happening, and so much victory there to know that what was going on in my body was something that could be fixed. And so the medication is there if I need it, but I don't need it. Yay!
So wonderful.
Yay. So, and I'm going to go and learn some more about that microbiome, Dr. Corson. I'm going to go read on how to feed my good guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Bernadette. I love it. And that's another thing, the microbiome. What I am hearing every time I hear more about the body and not the things that we necessarily, the pharmaceuticals we put in, every time I hear it, I'm beginning to understand how everything works together. So we have a habit as humans to go get something. Oh, this is good for that. Let me go get a bunch of that and put it in. And that's how I'm going to fix the problem. But someone said that an apple has 10,000 or more phytonutrients in it. And if we say, ooh, there's vitamin C in an apple, and I go take that one thing and go megadose on it, that's the way we think as humans. But we forget that inside that apple is a whole lot more of things that work a whole lot better together. And so that's why the plant powders make sense. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, I'm not going to talk too much because y'all know I talk. If you don't know now, you know I talk. I am going to do a little interview style with my sister. Y'all pray for her because she's nervous. I'm just going to ask her a few questions and she is going to answer from her heart. So Alice, you're going to need to unmute.
I am unmuted.
Okay. Y'all meet my big sister, Alice.
Everybody.
Okay, so the first question I have for you, Alice, what was your average blood pressure reading a few months ago?
Oh goodness. I was pre-hypertensive, which I have been for a number of years. So on average between 140 to 180 over 80
Okay, all
for
right.
years. Yeah.
For how long?
For a few years.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So how did that make you feel knowing that your blood pressure was a little elevated?
I think the stress of knowing it was elevated it more because I was so stressed out about having that problem, and just feeling as though I didn't have anything to do to fix it. And it wore me out. When I say wore me out, I mean it physically fatigued me to have that condition. I know I was battling headaches constantly. I mean, I would have headaches that I can only say stopped my whole entire life because I just had to sit and wait for it to pass. If I, tried to push through it, it was impossible. Impossible.
Wow, not gonna happen.
No.
All right, so I know, for those of us who were on at the beginning, that we witnessed you just coming off of your elliptical,
Yeah.
but I know that you've recently made some changes to your lifestyle, which include this plant powder, Juice Plus. Now, since you've been doing that, how long now?
Oh goodness. We've talked about it for a while. I don't remember the exact date I took the dive, but I participated in that last 10-day shred.
2 shreds ago, I think.
Yeah, and that was really, really good. It got me motivated and kind of set me into the habit of using the product.
Okay.
Um, and I started feeling, gradually feeling better, being able to get a more restful sleep. That was the first thing I noticed. I also noticed that, my energy levels were improving and I just figured, oh, you're sleeping better. So of course your energy is going to improve. Never linking the Juice Plus to everything that was happening to me. I think we talked about that in another conversation, but I just never connected what was happening.
Okay, so after your lifestyle changes, Sissy, tell me what your blood pressure reading's looking like now.
Oh, well, let me just tell you, I went to the doctor because she had put me on a blood pressure medication. I just did not want to do that. I just did not want to take a drug, which I know drugs, like she said, they do have their purpose. They do have their time and place. I just wanted to find another way to combat this. And so I was very hesitant, went to the doctor, ready, very contrite, ready to take the lashing about how I need to take this medication. And okay, doctor, I was ready to say yes to whatever. Instead, I got applause. she says to me, "Oh, you're doing so good. You're taking your medications." And I was like, say more. Say what now? And she says, "Your numbers look amazing." And I said, "Well, really?" She says, "Yeah, just a few weeks ago you were here because I go every 30 days." She says, "We were looking at, your pre-hypertensive numbers." She says, "Everything is normal." And I said, "What do you mean normal?" 125/75.
Ooh, y'all give her a hand. I love it. And how does that make you feel? You must feel victorious.
Oh, I feel like I can change the world. I'm not kidding. It's such a small deal to some people. That's a huge deal for me because hypertension runs in my family.
Mm.
I have older siblings who are struggling with this. Like I said, my brother, and he keeps a healthy weight. He's a slim guy, but he's struggling with this, which is why I wanted him to participate, which is why I'm so glad you're recording this. So he can hear this because I haven't even shared with him my improvement. So this is going to be news to him. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Girl, thank you for sharing. I know you were nervous, but you did great. Oh gosh. So if Juice Plus makes sense to you, I want you guys to know that you have options. You can get with the person that invited you tonight and become a customer. That way you get an opportunity to invest in your own wellness, right? But that's not your only option. If Juice Plus makes sense to you, your second option is to sponsor a child and participate in our Healthy Starts for Families. That allows you to sponsor a child ages 4 through college age free with an adult order. That way you get to invest in your future. And finally, if Juice Plus makes sense to you, be your own customer. You can be your own customer and join our mission. And I say that why? Because I don't know everybody that you know. You don't know everybody that I know. We need help to spread the word. People are waiting on your yes. Be your own customer, and that way you will get to invest in your community and mine. Okay? So I thank you guys for joining us tonight. I thank you for being a part of this, and it's my desire that you found hope just based off of a little more fruit and vegetables. All right, you guys have a great night, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, Glenda. Thank you for sharing your story.
Corson,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank
You,
you.
Leanne.
Stories, good stories.